Hello and welcome to the next episode of Mischief Makers. My name is Dave Hearn. I am your host, and I'm with two very special guests today. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Matt Cavendish.
Oh, that's it. Great.
Yeah.
I'm Allie.
Oh, is that it?
That's also it. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want a short sort of biog? Is that what you were hoping for?
Yeah, go
My
for it.
CV
Tell us what you
from
do.
the last 3 years.
So we're all currently on the Comedy About Spies.
The Comedy About Spies.
There we go. And tell us what you do on the Comedy About Spies.
Well, we're both understudies.
Nice.
I cover 4 of the male parts in the show: Bernard, Tipton, Sergey, and Lance.
And I cover 2 of the ladies and 2 of the boys.
Nice.
Pretty exciting stuff.
That's very exciting. So both 4 covers.
Yep.
Very exciting.
And then we're both obviously also ensemble, so we're in the background being bellboys and guests and old ladies.
We call it track 1 and track 2.
We do.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, track 1 is sort of, well, in theory the guys' track, but actually there is a world in which
You never know
what's
what's going to happen.
onto it, but that hasn't happened yet. And that involves, sort of multi-rolling. So being useful bits and pieces throughout the show, really. That's bellboys, hotel guests.
Gladys?
the old
Come
woman.
on.
Yeah.
A fan favourite, I'd say.
Yeah, that's
They want a
true.
spin-off of Gladys.
Yeah. It's a man in an old woman's coat and headscarf and glasses. And that's comedy.
It's quite scary
It's a hell of a
sometimes.
look.
Yeah. It's a powerful look. And Allie, tell us a bit about track 2.
Track 2, exactly as Matt said, is sort of the same, except we are... What else do? We do a lot of bellboy action.
You're a suspicious person.
We're a very suspicious person.
Very good.
No
You're a
spoilers,
spa,
obviously.
a masseuse.
A masseuse, we work in the hotel.
You probably have more bellboy action than we do.
Yeah, I
that
think
first
so,
lobby
yeah.
scene, you're in and out constantly with
We're
suitcases and trays.
populating that
Yeah,
lobby.
you're populating the lobby.
Every other line. We got towels, we got drinks, we got, everything. That's about it.
That's
It
it.
was so much fun.
And
That's
we
good.
rotate in those tracks between the 6 of us understudies.
Yeah.
7, I suppose, actually.
Mm.
And we rotate between us in those tracks. So when some of us are on for principals, the others will take over on the ensemble tracks. And
Rotate
that's
through.
how that works.
So what are you doing when you're not tracking or on for one of the principals?
Well, in the beginning, we were in our dressing rooms terrified, or we were shadowing you guys, learning lines, going through everything. And then as you know the play more and more and you get a bit more comfortable, you can take a step back. So often we can chill out in the dressing room. I try and do some work sometimes, bring my laptop in, catch up on Netflix, try and keep it different. Sometimes I've done some yoga in my tiny dressing room.
Nice.
That's very fun.
Okay.
Ali does that. I only do work related.
I knew you were going to say that, and that's unfair and a
You're
lie.
always on lines.
Always
Yeah.
recapping
Yeah,
the
just, like,
characters and the
constantly.
lines.
Movement
Oh.
captain, just constantly,
Never be
making sure the chase is clean.
Playing Uno.
No.
You sometimes
Yeah,
do that,
we play a lot
and
of board
Lulu, who was on
games.
the podcast before, will hang out between her cues as well. So it really depends on how many of us are off the shows. If there's like 3 of us or 4 of us who are not on, then we can hang out and do stuff and run lines. But sometimes it will just be you because everyone else is on in some capacity. So you can either do your own work or get on with something else.
And how do you... Okay, so talk to me about the feeling of... So you're waking up in the morning, hopefully, it's a win already, and then you're coming into the theatre, right? And at some point in the day, and this is the electricity of being an understudy, right? Because at some point in the day, you may get a call saying you're on for X.
Yeah.
Or you may arrive at the theatre and
Suddenly
someone's like, oh, by the way, this person can't come in for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So does that feeling like pervade your day to day, or is it like a thing that you just sort of, you don't really think about it until you get the call?
I think it's quite a weird job because you swing quite violently between very stressed and very bored. There's not a lot in between. But most of the time, especially where we're at now, where we're all quite comfortable with the show. Yeah. Actually, almost anyone that we cover could say I'm going off, and it'd be quite exciting, and we'd be up for it, and it's fun. But there was a point when the show was opening, and we were going through lots of script changes in previews, where if we'd been thrown on, it would have been absolutely horrifying.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, at this point, this is dreamland now as an understudy, because not only are you getting to go on, you get to try out doing a bunch of parts, so you don't get bored. And you're not super stressed about it, which is nice.
Yeah. I think it also, because obviously as covers, we have our first, second, third, sometimes fourth, depending on how many you cover.
Or fifth for now.
Exactly, you have a million. So if you're getting called and you're like, oh, it's your first cover, then you're just so comfortable with it, as Matt said, because we've been doing it for ages now, and like luckily a lot of us have been able to go on, so you've had your practice and you know how it feels. But if you're suddenly getting down to like, okay, someone's on their first cover, that means I have to drop into my second cover, which blah, blah, blah. With each cover, obviously, there's only so much prep you can do.
Yeah.
So if we got down to third covers, I think it would be a different story. But again, you're hearing the play every day, you're in the atmosphere of the play. Even when you go on as a first cover, you're aware of the other people around you. Like, it's such a different stage that we're at now than when we were at the beginning.
Yeah. And so for the people who like aren't in Theatreland, can you explain like what you mean by like first, second, third?
Yeah.
Those covers?
Yeah, so first cover means that your first point of call for example, I'm first cover Nancy, who plays Janet.
Yeah.
So if Nancy is ill or has holiday or whatever, I will play Janet. But then if I also am second cover Elena, who's Charlie, and Mercady is first cover. So if Mercady isn't there and Charlie goes off, then I will go in for Charlie, and it steps down like that. But then also it means if other people are on for certain parts. So for example, if someone's on if Matt was on for Bernard, and Niall was on for Sergey, and then Dave, you were like, I've broken my leg, I can't go on.
Damn.
Then third cover Lance, here's your gal, she's
in.
going on.
She's in.
She's going on because the first and second covers are taken up, so it steps down. It basically ensures that everybody is covered and we don't have to cancel a show.
And failing some kind of like very serious thing where lots of people get taken out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's also like once one of you guys, it's then becomes. Because the way I've always seen understudies, right, is like, because I've sat on the panel and like auditioning people and stuff. And sometimes I find that some people are so good at doing so many different parts that they would be better to be an understudy. And actually this other person is really good at just doing this one part. But I'd be like, well, they can't understudy because they can only do this one thing. So I often find that like understudies... But you can tell me if this tallies, right? I often find that I think understudies are quite precious in terms of like, because you're covering so many things. But if one of you goes on holiday or one of you gets ill, suddenly the exposure of the show starts to become much more like, the show becomes more exposed, right? And it might get cancelled. But then in terms of like, I guess the kind of social paradigm of understudying, right? Around like how it's seen. I'm often like, oh, wow, these guys are amazing because they can do 5 parts. But do you feel that you are treated differently understudying than you were if you were a principal actor? I appreciate it's a bit of a loaded question, but like...
No, I think I think it's different between people who are in the industry and people who aren't as well. So if you're in the industry, you would hope that a lot of people understand like you say, like the value of understudies. Yeah. It ensures that principals can go on holiday and don't feel like they have to push through injury or illness or whatever. They protect their body because they can go off and they know that they won't detriment the show or whatever. And especially in this show, it feels very much like a team effort. Like the understudies are part of the company, and we all are involved in the show and we've made what it is today, basically. Yeah. But when you're not in the industry, I think a lot of people maybe have a view that understudies are sort of just like the backup. And when people turn up and you see the sign that says the part of blah 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 will now be paid by blah blah blah, sometimes the initial reaction is disappointment, which is sad, but also you understand it with like there's a lot of like star casting and stunt casting going on at the moment. So people come to the theatre. Often the only way we can get people to the theatre is to lure them in with celebrities. Yeah. And then if your celebrity isn't on, then you get disappointed when actually... which I totally get, because you want to come and see that person that you've seen on TV or you've seen in a different play or blah, blah, blah. But also it's a great opportunity to showcase a brilliant actress or actor who has done so much work and probably, as you say, is crazy versatile and helping keep the show on and running. So it's a balance.
It depends where you place your value as an audience member, really. I think we're really lucky in Mischief shows because the shows generally are sold on the quality of the show as an ensemble piece. Like people go because they know they're going to get a great 90, 120 minutes of theatre and a great story. They're not going because they're seeing Joe Blogs from ITV's blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So the audience are coming with a different expectation. But if they are going to see Joe Blogs, and I understand why they would, then I also understand why that would be a really disappointing experience if they didn't get to see them. Like we've had that, but we're really lucky in this company that actually 90% of the audiences are coming to see the show, and not, like obviously they want to see you guys too, because you guys have had your own TV show and the story as a company is amazing. But I've never had the sense going on in any of these shows that there's like that's a shame. And I also think that culture is, there's a culture of celebration from the company, like publicly but like behind closed doors for us, and that when that culture is being set from the top down, then actually that really does help in terms of people coming along to see the show. You know, if the people they're missing are saying, "Come see the show, it's great. This person's brilliant." That's great. Yeah. Whereas actually, if that isn't the culture, then it does leave the door open for people to be disappointed.
If you're trying to like hide it.
Exactly.
People will find out when they get here. Yeah. Because I find speaking from like a principal position, like I find, obviously I love doing the show with Nance, for example, but if she's off, it's very exciting to have...
It's me.
First of all, it's very exciting
It's you and me, Dave, isn't it?
Monroe on. But it's so fun to have, even like when you're on as Bernard, or even this week you've been on as Tips and Greg's part, like we don't even have that much to do, but like together, but actually it's really fun. It's a fun new energy, I think, which feels really exciting.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people wouldn't be excited by that.
Well, yeah, I think it's probably changed over the years as well. I think a lot of actors, you know, sometimes you do the same thing every day in theatre, and some people find that great and some people find that quite boring. Yeah. But then if you throw a massive curveball of someone who's only done it once ever with no rehearsal or whatever, it can really take you out of that rhythm and comfort zone. So I can understand if you're, you know, if you like theatre for the doing a similar thing every day, you suddenly are like, oh my God, I have to really be on edge and sort of make sure that they're okay as well, because this person hasn't had enough rehearsal. And will I have to catch anything from them? And they've said something in a completely different way, so I have to actually change my thought. But then a lot of people can just take that as a great, you know, thing that's changes up the game and keeps everything fresh, which is always good.
Yeah, it's actor dependent, isn't it? Because I remember I stepped into Bank Robbery after when it was on tour, after having not done it for like 3 or 4 years. And I was just like, oh, it's going to be carnage. It's going to be a fucking car crash. And like, I think I said to them, I was like, it's like, I'm going to do my best, but it's like we're all playing Russian roulette and I'm going to shoot one of you. I just don't know who it's going to be. And most people laughed and was like, okay, great. And most people were really excited to have me there. But there was like 1 or 2 actors that just went into like full panic mode and were just like, do you know what you're doing? And I was like, yeah, like pretty much. Like, but I haven't done it for 3 or 4 years, and I just read the script on the train on the way up. So like,
you never
I'm
know.
just sort of managing your expectations of what I'm able to achieve. But at the end of the day, it is just a show, and it's going to be a lot of fun, hopefully. And I'll be here for the next 4 weeks. So, and then I think I had this similar journey to you guys, just sort of truncated after 3 or 4 days. I was like, great, I got it, and now I'm just doing a show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose it is that thing, isn't it? It's a high pressure environment. Loads of people are watching you. And if you're used to something being a certain way and then an element is changed, I suppose that can be quite unsettling. Yeah,
and I think, again, it's all circumstance-based. Like with Mischief, particularly with you guys, with the originals, it's a company built on improvisation shows and the principles of improvisation. These people, like, what gets you guys going is the idea of something being new and interesting and fun. And like literally the name Mischief is all about, you know, a bit of naughtiness and having a bit of fun and pushing it a bit. And so there is a real openness to people coming in with a new energy and making the show slightly different. Not that it's meant to be different, you know, it is the same show, but that different energy being new, and that's an interesting, exciting thing for you guys. Whereas there definitely would be companies where people aren't that, as you say, aren't that comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think you have to create a culture of like, it, even in a serious play, you have to create a culture of it being enjoyable to tell the story. And like, I think the thing I always try and do, and I don't know if we do this, I think we do this as a company, I think we're able to laugh at ourselves and laugh at our errors. And I remember going on, and Adam Byron was covering Henry Lewis, and he tried a new way of delivering a line, and it just died. And he came off, and I went, Byron. And he just went, yep, swing and a miss, and then laughed and walked off. And I was like, great, he's now in a position where he's going, oh, I'm going to try something new with this joke. And I think like, and then accepting that it failed and going, great, I'll just go back to the old way. And that's like, I just think that culture is much more is a much better way to exist than just being like, how do we get this right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that in the dressing room, just like with these shows specifically, when it gets to a point where it is too robotic and like it's an impressive feat, but it loses the sort of magic that makes people want to come back for more.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that's an ensemble feeling, like that it does need a bit of eagerness to try new things.
Yeah, I think what I was saying to you was when we were doing Play That Goes Wrong in New York, Jono, who's one of the writers, he stepped out and watched one of the shows. And the note he gave us afterwards was, he was like, I watched the show and he was like, it was so impressive. It was like watching the military do comedy. It was like precise, it was clean, all the beats were hit and all the jokes landed. And he was like, but we look like a group of people who just really know what we're doing. We don't look like a group of people doing a fun, silly show. And he was like, I think we just need to remind ourselves of, and that's really hard when you've been doing it. I mean, we'd hit over 1,000 shows when we're out there. So like, we just needed a new dynamic, a new thought process just to go, how do we make the show fun again? Rather than in our bodies being like, here's the joke, there's the laugh, here's the pause, here's the next joke. And like, it just becomes that. So yeah, I think having a new dynamic, and particularly having 6, or is it 7 understudies now?
7.
Yeah. To like keep the energy changing is really great. Yeah. How does your internal feeling change as you're becoming more comfortable with the show? Is there, we're now in the last couple of weeks of it, is there still things that could give you the same feeling now that you had at the start?
Yes.
What, instantly? Tell me about that.
100%. I mean, the other day I went on finance last week and I hadn't done it in only, I think, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But you suddenly just doubt. Even though I've been on a lot, like, and I know that I know it in my soul, but just the worry of, I don't know, it's really strange, yeah. And going on for like one of the other covers that I haven't done as much would just immediately give me that rush of adrenaline.
So yeah, your third cover, Meet, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, how would you feel? Scenario. Okay, here we go. Role play.
Role play. Here we go.
So you wake up in the morning. It's sunny. It's lovely.
Delightful.
You have breakfast. What are you eating?
Croissant.
Croissant. Lovely. It's the best croissant you've ever had.
Delightful.
Little coffee. Walking to the train.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
coming in.
Happy as Larry.
It's great. Everyone's
Gonna watch
smiling at you.
Netflix today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're on your phone. People are on the train going, "Oh my God, is that Allie Dartman-Rowe?" And you're just like,
Stop it! No pictures, please.
yeah, waving. You arrive at the theatre.
Yeah.
Through some twist of fate.
Yeah.
3 people are down, and you're going on for. You walk through the door, and you're going on for Lance.
Yeah.
What's going through your head?
Immediate. Yes, can't wait to wear the costume. I'm dying to wear that costume so much. Oh no, I need to make sure the harness fits me because that harness is so annoying. Need to go through everything, especially the physical bits. Just need to run through it once, and then I just need to like panic, get all the lines out of my mouth before the show.
Okay, what does panicking look like? You need to do panicking.
I need to do some panicking. It'll probably be a lot of pacing.
You'll be striding around.
Grabbing.
Yeah.
Matt's seen it many times actually. Yes, grabbing. Probably some singing.
Yeah.
Probably being like, I probably should
high-pitched
get another
laughing.
coffee. I need another coffee.
Matt, do I need an energy drink? Absolutely not. Absolutely
It's
not.
like, no, you need a chamomile tea. You just calm down. Yeah.
So yeah, do you actively try? Will you try and calm yourself, or will you be like, no, I've got this energy. I'm just going to let it explode.
No, I'd need to calm.
Okay.
I think different people have different things. Some people like are able to channel the energy into some sort of like good thing that you can use on stage.
Yeah.
Whereas if mine goes too much, I'll just be like, where am I? What's happening? My head feels like it's going to explode.
It boils
So
over.
I need to like push it down and really like hyper focus. And then I always just say like to anyone that's going on or for the first time or whatever, you just take it line by line, scene by scene.
Yeah.
And you don't think of it as a full thing. Because when I was first going on as Nancy, I was so nervous. I was absolutely
It was
terrified.
the day after press night, in fairness.
Yeah, true. It was quite early. Yeah. But like, I knew that I knew it and I was desperate to do it. So hungry for it. I was so nervous and I was like, just need to take it line by line.
Yeah.
And I know what comes next. Okay, we've ticked that off. We move on to the next. We've ticked that off and you just take it step by step by step.
Wow.
Yeah.
My experience of doing it on Bank Robbery was, I don't know if this resonates with you, but I knew it, but I was finding that the lines were coming to me as I was saying them.
Yeah.
So like I'd hear the cue line and then my mouth started saying the next line and I was like, but I I didn't have the confidence of knowing what was coming next.
Yeah.
I was just walking into scenes and then someone would say something and I would respond and
Yeah.
be like, oh, okay. So it's like right on this like precipice of failure.
And that's horrible.
Where you're like walking along the edge, trying like teetering about to fall off.
Yeah.
Is that like, is that how you feel when you're going on? If you were to go on for Lance, for example, like,
I mean,
know it,
when I went on
but-
for Sergey, it was very much that. It was
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much me just going, I hope that they're going to give me a cue that I then recognise in my brain and the line will come out. Because
I'll
otherwise,
click it in.
I don't know. But then some of it, weirdly, I will learn as monologues.
Okay.
Like, I'll just know all of my lines. And then I'll hear you say your line, and I'll just go, yes, I know that my next line is this. Like, if I really
Oh, I see, like
am
a full
panic-
chunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I can like see it on the page, and that's how I get through it.
We're gonna come on to you going with Sergey because that is an incredible story, and I do wanna talk about
An
it.
incredible
Story with Allie Dartman-Rowe. But same question to you though, Dish. You wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
You've made your quesadilla.
What are you eating? Oh,
What are you
quesadilla.
eating?
Sorry.
Oh yeah. What are you
Well, I
eating?
don't generally have breakfast,
Okay.
but I might
That's
have
not
something
good for this
for
role play
brunch.
situation. All right.
Okay. So brunch is
It might be
happening.
an omelette.
An omelette, maybe some eggs Benny.
Maybe
Eggs.
today was a quesadilla.
Yeah. Little
Posh.
quesadilla. The
Make
sun is
my way
shining.
in, sun's shining.
That you're on the train.
Feel
People are going
good.
saying, "Oh my God, is that Matt Cavendish?"
Yeah.
No photos, please.
No.
You get to the theatre. Boom. Several people are down. You're on as last.
So just another day in a Mischief show.
Oh my God! See the
Honest-
difference between me
Yeah,
and mine.
yeah.
Like, well, this is
Honest
fabulous.
Lance, I would have to spend an hour just going over everything because
Yeah.
that's the one I know least. Like, there just has to generally be when there's 4 or 5 covers you're doing, there just has to be a pecking order in terms of what you prioritise. And Lance has been the last one because if Niall's here, he'll always be on for that, and I'd be on for Sergey or whatever. So yeah, it'd be hairy, but weirdly, I think in a way more fun. Sometimes, like with Tipton this week, yesterday was a weird one. Just starting off with that MI6 scene. That's just quite a tricky scene to start a show with anyway. And
Especially if
Tipton
you're
doesn't-
covering multiple
Yeah,
parts.
and it doesn't have a lot, but actually there's something about just being exposed on that stage and waiting for quite a confusing cue line.
Yeah.
Like, because it's, or if you've not seen the show, this is a whole thing where all the agents are given letters as code names, and there's confusion about, I would be Agent U, and so I'm answering to him saying you in any circumstance.
Yeah, you get out.
Yeah.
And you
A
think
whole
it's you.
scene
Yeah,
of
yeah.
wordplay constantly.
Yeah, and yeah, I just had a moment yesterday. I came out and you're like, suddenly you're in front of 1,000 people, and yeah, you just feel very exposed. And because it's not entirely in your body, like it would be when you're playing a principal and you've done 2 weeks worth of shows. At that point, you're in cruise control pretty much, and you can have fun. But there is still as a cover until you've been on. Like, I think by the end of this week it'll be fine because I'll have done a week's worth.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still moments where you just go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, I'm not sure.
Have you ever had that
No,
on
I do
stage,
know.
like where you're just like stomach drops when you just go,
Oh
you
my
know
God.
it's
A little
you.
depth
Yeah,
check.
100%.
Yeah.
So many times.
Yeah.
But do you find that you have it where if there's any, like, suppose if you've been on, right, or like it's the first time you're on as the part, if there's any pause, are you just like, must be me? It must be me. Or are you like knowing it well enough?
I get it that if there's speak words. If I am on and I'm trying to take my time with a line, I like try and like look at you and be like, I'm doing a pause. I do know my line.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To like make sure that you're not like, do I have to save
that
you?
is definitely
Yeah.
a thing because
Yeah.
some people want to help covers out, and so yeah, you're right. Your pause would be leapt on by a principal because they'll think
Yeah.
They've
they've
lost
tried.
it, yeah.
but
Yeah.
actually, yeah, you're
It's
right.
like,
you
no,
have to be
I'm pausing. And here's the
acting.
line. Yeah.
This is also a bit of a loaded question, but try and answer it honestly.
Okay.
Do you feel like you're trusted by the rest of the company?
In
Or-
this show.
Yeah, in this show.
Yeah.
Or do you ever feel like, oh, someone's going to snap, not like be angry, but like snap up that pause or whatever it is?
No, this environment is very, very supportive and I feel very trusted. Yeah.
And I know the podcast it's called Mischief Makers, but you, if that is the truth, then great. But you don't have to say that if it's.
No, it's lovely, and I've been an understudy before where it hasn't been that.
Oh really?
So I can compare it, but it really does feel trusted. But it also feels like, because it's a weird balance as an understudy. You need to you do have to aid the principals because they've been doing it the whole time. You need to make sure it's that show that's going on. You can't suddenly be like, oh, I've decided actually she's from, Texas instead of New York. Like, I couldn't make a choice like that. But I can make little character choices that would more fit me than like Nancy's Janet or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do feel very trusted. I do.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I've known and done shows with you guys for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
So actually, I feel super
loads.
lucky to just come in and be messing around with pals. Like, it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm coming into a new job in that sense. Like whenever I'm on, it's just like, oh, it's Dave, who I've known for 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Charlie, who was the first person I lived with when I left home.
Yeah,
when I was 18.
yeah.
Which is lovely, and I remember that is the nicest thing when you're going on for the first time and you're a bit worried. You can just connect with the other actors, and if you're in a company like this where you're supported, actually that shuts out a bit of the noise because you're then just in a scene with someone who's
your friends.
Yeah, your mate. Yeah.
And also you're probably a bit more comfortable if someone's like, oh, how are you feeling? To go, oh, I am a bit nervous actually.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. Like,
or as Adam Byron would say, I am
a
A blaze.
I am a blaze.
Whereas at the beginning, I'm completely new.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, guys, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Like, prove myself. I know all my lies, blah, blah, blah. And now the filter has gone. And I've got to know you all more. I'm like, oh, God.
It's like, yeah, it's tough today.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, it's trying to
You need a bit of honesty, though, as well.
Yeah, without doubt. Like, I think as well, like, there's just on a human level, like, you know if someone's like calm or if someone's pretending to be calm, and then you're going, are you pretending to be calm for my benefit? Because I've done this loads. So like, if you're not calm, that's okay.
Yeah.
You just like need to embrace whatever it is that you have and
Yeah.
just run with that. But you were saying, like, in terms of making different character choices, do you guys find when, in terms of your process of putting the character together, do you prioritize essentially like learning it as is been rehearsed by the principal, and then is it a facsimile or a copy of that, or is that kind of what you're aiming for to start with and then bring your own flavour into it once you know it more, or is it always a thing of how do I make this my own?
As a starting point, I would always just take it through osmosis. Like, it would be, okay, well, this is a version of what Shields is doing, because you get so little time to rehearse. Like, usually that's the time where you get comfortable with the character and you develop it. Actually, you're short-circuiting everything as an understudy. So you're like, I just need to find the quickest way to learn the material.
Yeah.
And that is to take on... And also it's part of your job as an understudy to take on a version of the performance that people are paid to see.
Yeah.
And so you do that, and you can only, like... My main goal is to get it to a point where I just feel comfortable with the words coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once that happens, then I can start worrying about putting some character on top.
Yeah.
But actually, I want to feel solid and comfortable being on stage saying those lines. Because actually, it does take a week or so of the lines being learned for that to start feeling comfortable in your body. Yeah. And then after that, like now we're at a point where it's great. I can be like, okay, I'll try and figure it out. And we've talked about this on stage where like there are lines that there are certain lines that you can't land in the same way as the person you're covering.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Because it's a
Exactly
very
the
specific
same.
thing to them.
Yeah.
And so we're at the point now where I go, like, well, I just need to find my own voice with that. And then at some point, it will read truthfully because there'll be a laugh. But until that point, I will just hear the silence and move on.
We have top of act two.
Yeah.
Dishes checklist of gags
I
he's
get
not
a
going to
laugh?
get. But the worst thing is we go through the checklist and then we get to them in the scene, and if it doesn't get a laugh, you basically just get us going. Or like there was one where you got a bit of a laugh, and we all three of us just went, oh, and then we're like, show.
Carry on.
But yeah, how about you, Ali? Are you the same?
Yeah, it's the same in that you need to learn the lines first, and that is the main thing, once you've got them out. But then there are certain things that will just won't fit me as a person, and I won't be able to sell it, so I'll just try and sell it how I would, because me and Nats are so different.
Yeah.
So some things that she's doing, if I did that, it just wouldn't be funny, but maybe I can try them in a different way and try and get...
Yeah.
So it is, it's very similar.
And that's also kind of what goes back to what we were saying earlier about like the joy of having a new person on. It's been like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna do differently.
Yeah.
And then how do you feel? Maybe it's easier once you know it a bit more. But we're as a group, we're a bit of a nightmare because we often note each other, and like actors don't really do that, and it's not really the done thing. It's sort of all done through the director. But we'll often just be like, oh mate, I think if you do this, this, and this, you'll get the laugh there. But how does that feel for you guys? Is there a tipping point where you're if you're going on for the first time, you're a bit like, thanks, fuck off. And then maybe after like a couple of shows, you're like, cool, I'm ready to be like, yeah, how does that feel getting notes from other actors, and particularly if you're stepping into another part?
I would say, diplomatically, I think generally you'll get given a show's grace in this company. So your first show.
One show. That's
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
get.
yeah.
One show, yeah.
And then if you're on for a run of more than one show, after the second or third show, people start coming up to you privately and very kindly just saying, oh, actually, you're meant to be stood there. Or it's rarely actually an acting note.
Yeah.
Like, people are
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good at not being like, actually, you need to act it like this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
No one really does that. But you will start getting 4 or 5 different, actually, in that moment, go there, and in that moment, do that.
Oh,
and then
like
you get your
different
notes from the
places.
director.
Wow.
And that can become, like, at that point, you just have to...
Pick one.
Just take it because it is helpful stuff.
Yeah.
But not obsess over ticking all of that. In the same way you would with the director's notes. You go, okay, I'm going to read them before I do it, but if I don't hit it all, it's cool. Like, it's better that you're in the moment remembering what you're doing than like, what was that note?
I have like the notes app on my phone with the bullet points. And then I read them, and then like once I finish the show, I go back and go, and then I tick off everything that I did. And then I'm like, but then the problem is once I tick it off, I go, oh well, I've done it now, and then so the next show I can get it. But yeah, how do you find it?
Yeah, I think on my first show, if people, you guys didn't, I'm sure you didn't come up to me and say anything, but on my first show, I was just like so hyper focused of just getting through it safely, making sure I didn't trip anyone off or push anyone off the Battenberg or anything mental. But then after that, you guys, you do it every day. So it's like, I want to hear what you have to say. And I do want those tidbits of information, and like, Nance will also be amazing because if she, like, still to this day, when I'm not on, if she finds something new in a show, she'll come off and be like, oh, Allie, I've got a bit of cheese for you. Here's some cheese.
Yeah.
You know, this delivery got a little blah, blah, and this try. But then when I was on for her at the weekend, she was like, so, any cheese for me? And I was like, oh, that's just such a lovely, like, dynamic of, like, both of us feel like we are both Jan Buchanan together, and it's not, like, a divide, which is nice.
That is great, actually. We had that yesterday when there was a gag, the... Falling to Australia gag, and then Janet has a line afterwards, and Nance came off and she was just like, ugh, and I went, should we just cut that line, mate? And she was just like, yeah, it's just not as funny as the line before, and we're exiting not on a laugh. We should exit on the biggest laugh. And then, but the first thing she did was she then went, what's Allie doing? And I was like, Allie is similarly valiantly trying to get on that line.
Saying it loud and proud and leaving in silence.
There's we've discovered no magic.
That is so funny. You are a little bit of a sounding board. I remember when I was first on for Greg, there was a particular moment where he was like, any advice on that?
Yes, it was.
I was like, no, mate, I died as well. Don't worry. Don't worry, there's nothing you can do.
I remember I called Niall after we went on. I can't remember which moment it was, but I was just like, did you get a laugh in this? And he was just like, no. Mate, that's dead in the water. And I was like, great. I was like, oh, let's cut it. Let's get rid of it. So yeah, that is nice actually. If everyone's kind of working together and kind of similarly sharing in the dying, of being like, did you die as well? Yeah, man, I tried. Yeah. We've got a little bit of time left. I'm going to do a Lou through because I've been listening to his podcast. How's your energy?
Oh my God, I love that.
How's your energy?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
you good?
Just gonna jingle my eyes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, great. So can I ask a couple more questions?
Let me go for it.
Great. Okay, great. Thanks very much. I'm really enjoying his podcast. He's so dry, isn't he? The Louis Through, if you're listening to this, we will be on your podcast should you wish. The story of Mischief is amazing. I want to touch on quite a big event that happened fairly recently, which was Allie Dark-Monroe going on for the part of Sergey.
Whoa.
So talk us through the process of what happened and how, because that wasn't at the time, it wasn't a part that you covered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it wasn't in your contract, and you never rehearsed it. You'd never even thought about, hey, I'll just check the lines for this.
No, never.
So yeah, talk me through what happened and how we came from you not being on a Sergey to then you being on a Sergey.
Very much being on in front of 1,000 people. So I was on the train at 11 a.m. and I thought, I'll get the earlier train because, then I'll get a coffee before and that'll be great. And
everyone's waving at you,
exactly.
The sun is shining.
I was eating my croissant, And I get a phone call from Katie Ann, who is our associate director. And I was like, what could this be? Like,
a phone call.
It's always...
It's big news, one way or the other.
Like, usually it's Millie, who's our company stage manager. And then you're like, okay, someone's off.
Yeah.
And then, but it's Casey Ann, so you're like, oh, is it just you need me for an extra rehearsal? I don't know. So I pick up the phone, like, so casual. Hi, oh my God, how are you? And she's like, so, oh my God, what? We've had a bit of a situation. And for this week, Matt was on as Bernard, covering Henry Shields already.
For the first time.
For the first
That
time.
week was my first week.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
just some extra nerves in the air. And Niall was away for the weekend, who is first cover Sergey, and Matt is second cover Sergey. And the show before, Chris had really painfully injured his knee, and he was told by the physio that he couldn't do the show. Basically, it was dangerous for him to do the show, so he literally could not do it. So Katie Ann was like, this is the situation, and I've gone through many different paths of what we could do, and I was just wondering, I think maybe you should do it. And I was like, okay. She was like, and then she was like, let me pitch it to you before you say yes. This is my thinking. And she like went through all of these, and she clearly like had it written down and was like, so you cover Elena, so you know how to do a Russian accent. You've also done, the blocking as Elena, but maybe, you could do it as Sergey as well. You cover the rest of the people in the fight, and also Janet fights Sergey, and obviously I know Janet's side of the fight, so hopefully maybe some of that would have gone through osmosis and stuff. And then she was like, I don't know what the other reasons were, and she was like, so out of 10, how up for this would you be? And I went, 8.5. She was like, whoa, that was way higher than I thought. And I was like,
great.
yeah, I'm definitely up for it. And she was like, okay, I'm going to give you a second. You can say no. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And she was like, okay, I'm going to go put the motions, in motion. You know what I mean?
Put the motions in motion. You know,
Emotions
that
in
classic phrase,
motion.
yeah.
Because then we realised I don't have a costume, so they have to sell costume. What's my hair going to be like? Because usually I wear a wig, but Sergey doesn't need a wig.
Which cover is 5'5"?
Matthew Cavendish.
That's right.
You got Matthew Cavendish's costume.
The first thing I did, I entered that theatre, and Katie Ann went, I'm going to give you another chance to say no. And I went, we're doing this. It's too late. I was looking at the script on my phone on the train in. I immediately rang Aaron, my husband, and was like, you'll never guess what. I think this is happening. I don't know what's happening. Wish me luck. Bye. And then I ran straight up to costume, and they went, well, this is the only suit for you. It's Dish's suit. And I went, oh, well, we'll see if it fits like a glove. It absolutely.
It looked great.
It was perfect.
It did really suit you.
It was beautiful. I loved it. So the costume was sorted. He has quick changes, but they sort of just like walked me through them really quickly and were like, yeah, this will be fine, and we'll change your tie, and that'll be fine. Then obviously I'm a woman, and Sergey is a man. So Katie Ann was like, we're going to change it to a woman, but you're still going to be going undercover as Tim as a man. So I was in the suit. So we didn't really have to do a lot of changing, but poor Charlie then had to change a lot of we changed my name to Sergey, which I don't know if we needed to do, but she had to say that every time instead of Sergey, and then saying she and stuff. So bless her for picking all that up. And then we went down to warm up, and Chris was in the building, bless him. So he was like, do you need anything? Like, is this actually happening? And I was like, I think it's happening. Yeah, I think we've just got to do it. But at this point, there wasn't really time for me to feel nervous. Like, it wasn't like, oh God, can I do this? Because it was like, well, I've got to do it now. It's
very binary. It's just like, yes or
no.
Yeah.
So we take it line by line, scene by scene, and I just do it. And so he, bless him, started going through scenes with me, like telling me little bits of like blocking that I sort of had to do, because obviously a lot of it is just going to be like, well, people are just going to be helping me through it, and but I can do what I can to, not stand in the wrong place. And then, but the main thing was obviously the chases. I'd never done either of the chases as Sergey, so we started doing them in Fight Call, and then we did the fight, and then I ran up to Wigs and was like, Lulu, what do we do with my hair? And she just put loads of grease in my hair and just slick it back and was like, you look great. And while all this was happening, Katie Ann was running after me going, what do you need? And I was like, I probably need a Lucozade, and I probably need a flapjack because I haven't eaten anything, but I feel so sick that I can't eat anything, but it's probably best if I do have some sugar. And also, will you just... And then as we were running around...
the calm energy.
Yeah, exactly. Very calm, very calm. And I was like saying the lines as we were running around the building to all the different departments. I was like, okay, we'll just do the part quickly. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Then we were doing it, and then I was doing my makeup, and then before you know it, it was time.
Lights out.
Yeah.
Allie's brain for lines is just insane. Like, you didn't get anything wrong.
Yeah, didn't drop a single line.
The part.
It was
and I'm
mental.
second cover for that part, and I was going, you know it better than I did.
But maybe...
Thank God you went on and not me.
Because I remember there was a conversation.
How do you know all this?
It would have been carnage had Dish gone on.
It would have been, yeah.
But I remember there was a conversation about you going on with the script, and then you had about 45 minutes in warm-up, and we were watching you run the scenes.
Yeah.
And then about 10 minutes in, it was just I think, Dish is right. Like, it was amazing because it was like, fuck, you just know it.
Yeah.
And somehow you just know it but he's right. Like, you didn't drop a single line. Like, me and Nance were watching it on the monitors and stuff, and I knew it was going brilliantly when Nance and I stopped watching the show, because the rhythm of it, like, when you're chatting backstage, you hear the rhythm in the background, and then when something goes off, everyone and then kind of watches, and, like, freezes. But we just started chatting and dicking around backstage, and then we realised, we were like, oh, Allie's on. This is so weird. And then we were like, oh, we went back to the screen and started watching again. But yeah, it was so impressive that, like, I don't think anyone who's listening and watching and doesn't do theatre, to understand, to be able to, like, go on and do an entire West End track with, like, realistically, like, 45 minutes prep and running around trying to get costume and makeup and wigs and all that kind of stuff sorted. It is, like, inhuman what you did. Like, it's insane. But, like, you said you didn't feel nervous. Was there a point at which did it just sort of happen and then the show finished?
Well, I think it was the moment on stage right, just before, because at beginning, so we're, like, standing there for, like, 4 or 5 minutes just waiting in position. And then I suddenly was like, because I had a moment to breathe, basically. And then I was like, oh my God, I remember turning to Matt and being like, oh my God, I'm going to do this.
Where does the trolley go?
Where do I put the tea trolley?
Somewhere
I was like, oh my God, and of all the things, I was like, the first transition, I was like, I don't know what to do, Matt. I'm not going to be able to push that tea trolley. I really don't know. I don't think I can do this. And he was like, you just push it, stage left, and then you're fine. And I was like, okay, so I just pushed it. And then
the worst thing, for some reason, this show, it starts with, you're all backstage ready for that MI6 scene, and it starts with the epic spy music.
Yeah.
And there's just something about that triggers
the
instant,
fear
like,
of God.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's happening.
We're doing this now.
And
yeah.
like, it's a show that you're truly, a bit like Play That Goes Wrong, actually. You're really, at most of the Mischief plays, you're locked in once it starts. Like a roller coaster.
It's
like,
a
you
train,
don't have any
yeah.
time off stage to just check your script. Like, especially that Battenberg, which is the 4 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
You're just on until
That's
the
what
end
I
of
was
Act
most
1.
absolutely
Like,
terrified
you're
about
just
was the
in.
Battenberg.
So as soon as that music starts, that's like the roller coaster thing.
Yeah.
You're like, there's no
Here
escape.
we go.
That's it,
Yeah. The only
That's
escape is just stopping the show.
You literally stopping it.
Yeah. I think in the Battenberg it's quite nice because I've definitely, when you've been on as Janet, like, you don't have any downtime in terms of being off stage, but the lights are off and you can like chat to people. So you can just sort of like check in. And I imagine there was a lot of checking in with Charlie.
Oh my God, bless Charlie. She literally got me through that because we were on the bed and her little notebook, but all in character, which was so amazing. She's like writing down like bullet points. She was like, okay, so next the glacier mints, and then we listen to Marco, and then we hear a funny noise and we listen to the wall thinking, oh, maybe they are having a fun time next door, and we'll take it step by step and everything's going to be fine. And then the lights went off and she said her line, and then I was like, said my line, and then we were like, okay, we've done that bit. Okay, next, no, what are we going to do? Look back at the notebook, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it was such a team effort. It was amazing.
So much fun. And I remember actually in the fight, because I was so impressed how much the fight you knew.
The fight.
Because, like, Chris doesn't even know the fight sometimes. Sometimes with Chris, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, sorry, man, just sort of wildly swinging. But I remember the way the fight works is it's like a split screen. There's 2 fights happening at the same time, like a comedy one and a serious one. And we're frozen when we're not fighting. And I remember you and me are very close together. We end up fighting each other quite a lot. Yeah. And just Allie being like, what happens next? I'm going to punch your right, and I'm trying to reverse the choreography in my head and going, I'm going to punch your right shoulder with my left hand, and then I'm going to punch you with my right hand, and you're going to duck under my right hip, and then just like the Matrix is going, and then like lights come up and go, It was very, very impressive. But then how did you feel then? Because you did 2 shows. It was a 2-show day. Yeah. So then was the second show like... Because the first show, I imagine, is just like, whoa, amazing. Who gives a shit what happens? Yeah. You did it. But then the second show, is there a feeling of like, well, you can do it now.
How did I do that? Yeah. It was like, how did I do that? That's a fluke. I can't do that again. Yeah. And I literally...
didn't eat your dinner?
I did not eat my dinner because I felt so sick. I ate like 2 bits of chicken breast and then was like, I think I'm fine. Literally. But weirdly, it had sunk in somehow. Like, I did know it better in the second show. I actually think I started making some actual choices and looking people in the eye and trying to be a bit funnier. And so yeah, but 2 shows, it was brutal. But I remember Katie Ann at the beginning being like, okay, if you want me to, because usually if something goes wrong in a show, often a director or stage manager will come out before the show and go, due to this, this, and this, we've got an emergency cover on. They've never done it before, or explain to the audience basically just to manage expectations and be like, strap in with us. It's going to be a unique show. And Katie Ann was like, do you want me to do that? Because I've seen that you know it.
Yeah,
so we could just not do that. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. And people were giving me advice going, you know, it's good if they know that you're a cover, blah, 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 but also, you know, you don't need that. And I, in the end, made the decision not to have the speech at the beginning because I didn't want people watching me under like a microscope being oh, she's never done this before, like how's she going,
sort of anxious by proxy,
exactly. Is that meant to be her, like is she in the right place or something's gone wrong, whatever. So I think that was the best decision as well, because at the end, in a very lovely way, Henry Lewis then revealed to the audience that, you know, I had only never done it, basically. So that helped me sort of get through it under a disguise of like, everyone thinks I'm meant to be here, so it'll be fine. And then we'll just do that again for the second show and we'll get through it.
And it's kind of the best because you get to nail it and then you get all the credit at the end.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, guys, you've just seen something unbelievable. And everyone, I remember the theatre just like lift the roof off the place. It was just nuts. Okay, so final closing questions. Which part would you both, that you don't cover, that you would love to do?
Bernard,
nice. Henry Shields' part.
I would love to do Bernard.
What about it do you like?
I love his general state of panic and heightened chaos. Some of the he's got great gags in the show.
And it would suit your general demeanour.
Exactly.
Being panicked before going on.
Yeah, I think, and he gets to interact with like basically everyone in the show, so that would be really fun. I would love to do Bernard.
Woodbead.
Yes.
One guy I don't cover, but actually I think it'd be super fun to have a small, angry, pompous little man.
I would love that. I've seen you play Crispine,
which
and
is a similar vibe.
It's very, very fun.
Yeah, so that would be.
And which part of the parts that you do cover scares you the most?
Elena.
Really? Because you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, haven't done it. And weirdly, that first MI6, it's her and, you know, Henry Lewis. It's like, if you drop a single rhythm of that scene, it is so terrifying. And that's the first thing you have to do is Elena. It's like like other tracks, you sort of like, I know. What am I moving?
T-trolley.
Oh God. It's absolutely terrifying. But yeah, I just feel like she would be a roller coaster for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to do it, but it would be like, oh, okay, here we go.
And your second cover?
Yeah.
So if McCady's ever off?
Yeah, it's me.
Wow, okay, exciting.
Yeah, and Lance for me.
Lance, yeah.
Yeah, that's one to recap next week. I've got some
Oh yeah, because I'm off next week.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's okay. But obviously, if Niall then went off, I would be.
Yeah.
What I'd have to do is talk to Henry Shields and say, "Can you take it off?" And then I can play Bernard and Allie can play Lance.
Oh yeah, we do
Yeah,
switch
that way
through.
I get to avoid.
You don't have to do it.
There's so many different configurations that can happen.
Yeah. That would be really fun.
That would be
I
fun.
think it would be fun to do a Lance.
But he's done quite a few Lances now, hasn't he? He's done quite a few shows. Yeah. I remember speaking to him after the first weekend, and he was just like, "That's hard, isn't it?"
Yeah.
It's hard going from 0 to 100. That's another thing, understudy wise. Like your stamina is sort of like just tested at all times, especially with a track like yours, which is so physical. Like you have to go from doing nothing, crossing the stage, being a bellboy, to then doing jumping through windows and through the floor and doing fight calls and everything, and being like, okay.
Yeah, just all the sprinting and jumping. Yeah. It is mad. Okay, and if you could spy on anyone in Mischief, who would you spy on? And they won't know that you're spying on them.
Greg Tannehill.
Very popular choice, Greg Tannehill.
Is he?
Yeah, why Greg Tannehill?
Because I feel like he's
hiding
quite
something.
an enigma.
Yeah,
Enigmatic was the word I was going to use.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like so calm, but also sometimes he comes out with these things that I'm like, what? So he's like very good at mime. He does yoga all the time. Like he just like has different parts of his personality where I'm like, I want to see what a day in your life is.
Yeah.
So I can imagine like secretly he is also like an underground spy as well.
Or a clone.
Yeah.
That's a popular theory, is that he's a clone.
100%.
He, it's I think as well because he has a social life outside of the company. So like
what?
Exactly. So everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Friends?
Yeah,
what?
he's like, "Oh yeah, just what'd you do a day off?" And he's always so like, "Yeah, I just hung out with some friends." I'm like, "Who?
Who are your friends?
Like, did you hang out with Henry Lewis? Because
Did
I was
get
hanging out with
invited?
Henry
Exactly.
Lewis,
What?
and I didn't see you there, Greg." And he's just like, "Yeah, just some mates from school." And I'm just like, What?
See, what was the school like? What was he like as a teenager?
Yeah. Did he even go to school? Is there a school? Was he born Greg? Like he is
Evidently,
now?
yeah.
Was he born as he is now?
Yeah.
Who would you spy on Dish?
I think the obvious answer is Henry Lewis, because then I can just steal his next hit show that he's writing
Nice.
and make an awful lot of money.
Yeah. And just be like, oh, I've written this, Hen.
Yeah. But I also would like to spy on Niall for a bit.
Yeah.
Just the idea of following Niall around's quite funny. I
He
don't know
always
why
has
that is.
errands to run.
He's got a lot of errands.
Constantly errands.
He'll have a little vinyl record on the go, maybe be cooking something quite nice.
It's like this morning,
Like go
had
for
a
a pot.
coffee.
It'd be a lot of pottering, I think. with
Yes.
Niall.
It's like those YouTube videos, where like it's just Pete the day in the life of.
Yeah.
And it's like he would probably make a lot of money on YouTube.
Quite
Definitely.
soothing, I
Very
think,
soothing.
Yeah. Just sort of living his life.
Yeah.
Mine was, of course, Harry Kershaw.
Oh, well,
Just
if I knew he
because-
was on the board.
Well, yeah, anyone in Mischief.
yes.
Do you know Harry Kershaw?
Yes.
Yeah. So I just find he's quite similar to my dad in just him doing day-to-day business, like literally walking around his living room. Like I've stayed at his house a few times, and I'll just be sat there on my phone. I'll look up, and Harry won't know I'm there, and I'll just watch him live his life for 30 seconds, just making a coffee, and it's the most amusing
He's
thing.
an extraordinary man.
He's just so
Extraordinary.
natural.
When I was staying there last year
Hysterical.
for a short bit, it was quite warm because it was this time last year, and I knocked on the door, or I let myself in. I had a key, and he was just sat in the lounge. Was it Olympics year last year? I think it was.
Yeah.
Sat on the lounge, just in his boxers, but all the windows were closed and the doors were closed because he didn't want to let the cat escape. So he was just sweating, just in his pants on the sofa watching the Olympics. I thought, this again to be a spy. Oh, hello, Dish. Hello, mate.
He's going to be absolutely furious. That is going
About
to
this
become public
story,
knowledge.
We
Yeah.
can cut that out. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was a highlight. of the year
Redacted.
for me. Yeah,
Redacted.
Yeah.
Oh God. And guys, thank you so much
Pleasure.
for
Thank you for having us.
coming in. There was several more things I wanted to ask you about, but I'm afraid we've run out of time. We'll have to do
Sad.
part 2.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Unfortunately, this podcast will now self-destruct in 3.
2.
1.